There's been a drama with Anthropic, specifically with Claude and Claude Code, and Claude Code being blocked or restricted in certain settings. And it's happening in a few different places, so it's a little bit tricky to get hold of what is happening. But basically, the creators of we're about to talk about Grok in a moment. Anthropic, the creators of Claude and Claude Code, have been restricting access. The underlying reason for this is Claude Code is really good. Claude Code is the best, bar none, coding agent right now. I know there'll be some people in the comments be like, oh, actually it's Codex, or oh, Quen's really good. Fine, whatever. Claude Code, 95% of the people out there accept is the best coding agent right now. What this means is a lot of their competitors, including AI companies, are using Claude Code to build their products or making Claude Code available to their customers through a kind of custom interface. Anthropic have had enough of that, and Anthropic are basically pulling up the ladder and saying, nope, we have the best right now. You're not going to profit off giving access to our model. You're not going to profit off using our model to create a better product. This has caused some upset in the community. The upset comes from people who are relying on Claude Code instead of working this stuff out themselves. So a couple of things has happened. One is Anthropic blocked third-party usage of Claude Code subscriptions. This is specifically in companies like OpenCode, for example. This is somebody on the OpenCode GitHub saying, oh, you've got a bug, my Claude Code has stopped working. Basically what happened is Claude Code pulled access. So Anthropic pulled access and disallowed third-party tools like OpenCode to use the Claude Code subscriptions to access the API. It gets technical at that point, so you don't need to worry too much. What you need to know is that Anthropic are saying, nope, you're not going to profit off us having the best model. So what was happening, OpenCode had a workaround which allowed you to use your $200 a month Claude subscription, which is very cheap if you are a developer. If you were using that amount of tokens, that amount of usage using the API, which is like the direct connector, it'd probably cost you thousands. But instead, you could get it for $200 per month, and it gave you, or it does give you, a very generous amount. So OpenCode were allowing people to connect their $200 a month subscriptions to access the API. Somebody worked out here. For folks not following the drama, Anthropic's $200 a month subscription for Claude Code is much cheaper than Anthropic's pay-as-you-go API. In a month of Claude Code, it would have cost more than $1,000 via the API. I use the $200 a month subscription, and I've never hit the limits. I'm not a professional coder, but it's more than enough, and I'm using it several hours per day and have no problems. So if I was doing it via the API, paying per token, it would cost me a lot more than $200 per month. So this person goes on to say, why is Anthropic offering such favorable pricing to subscribers? I don't know, but they really want you to use the Claude Code command line interface with their subscription, not the open source command line interface. They want open code users to pay API prices, which could be 5 times more. OpenCode, the competitor in this case, has implemented a workaround so that folks paying only $200 a month can use their preferred OpenCode command line interface at Anthropic's all-you-can-eat token buffet. So what has happened here is, this has been happening for months, but Anthropic, creators of Claude Code, have suddenly said, that's enough, they've restricted access. They've basically banned third parties using Claude Code inside of a different interface. And as it's been pointed out, this is not new. This has been disallowed since the beginning. It's just only now Anthropic are taking it seriously and restricting access. The interesting thing, though, is that this happened at the same time Claude Code access was removed from the Grok team, Elon Musk's company. They were using Claude Code to help program elements of their AI. This is happening because Claude Code is the best right now. I remember months ago, Elon Musk was saying, oh yeah, internally we're using Grok. We're using Grok 4 or Grok 4.1 or 4.2, whatever it was at the time. We're using that to make our systems better because it is the best coding model. That is not the case. Their engineers are using Claude Code, a competitor's AI, to make Grok better. A few days ago, xAI, creator of Grok, staff had been using Anthropic's models internally through Cursor. Cursor is a development environment, until Anthropic cut off these startups' access this week. xAI's co-founder Tony Wu sent a message to their team. It says, hi team, I believe many of you have already discovered that Anthropic models, Claude Code, are not responding on Cursor. According to Cursor, this is a new policy Anthropic is enforcing for all its major competitors. Okay, it is not a new policy. All of the models disallow you from using that AI to build competitive models. That is very basic terms of service, and I'm pretty sure all of them have that. So you're not technically allowed to build your own competitor to ChatGPT using ChatGPT. That's just in the terms of service. Same with Anthropic. You are not allowed to use Claude to build a competitor to Claude. Pretty standard. However, they had not been enforcing it. This is both good and bad news. This is the co-founder, Tony Wu. We will get hit on productivity. So they are using it internally. They were using it to make their product better. But it really pushes us to develop our own coding product and models. Remember, Elon Musk was saying we have the best coding tools already. Grok is the best at coding. They're not using it at XAI. They're using Claude Code. And this is the co-founder of XAI saying, yeah, we need to do better. We need something we can use internally. AI is now critical for our productivity. So an AI company using AI to build AI. This coming year is really going to be wildly exciting for all of us. The team is developing our own models and product. We'll have some to share soon. In the meantime, you may still try all different kinds of models in Grok build. So yeah, this puts egg on Elon Musk's face because his own team, his own AI team, do not use their own AI. Instead, they use a competitor. And that competitor said, not anymore, and restricted access. So pretty funny and a big L for Elon Musk. ChatGPT have jumped in because ChatGPT, OpenAI haven't really been in the news for the last few weeks. Claude Code have been dominating because everyone suddenly realized like, wow, Claude Code's really good, right? So ChatGPT, seeing people upset that Claude Code has been removed from third-party tools, it's been restricted, they jumped in and they were like, oh, don't worry, we're here. So with the Claude Code shutdown, I'm proud that we build codecs in the open with our OSS, open source repo, and we are 100% invested in supporting a flourishing ecosystem of agentic coding tools. We're not like Claude, we won't restrict access. We're OpenAI, you can use our tools. This is easy to do and a very easy position to take when you are behind. Remember, all of this, restriction of Claude Code in third parties, restriction of Claude Code to your competitors like XAI, this is because Claude Code is the best. That's the only reason why ChatGPT are able to come out and say, oh, we support openness and oh, we'd never act like Claude Code. That's very easy to say when you are behind. When you're on top, it changes things. So I think the technical details of what's being restricted and who can't use what don't affect us day to day. It's not that important. But the power dynamics here are really interesting because Claude and Anthropic are becoming more confident. They know what they have the best in the market and are flexing their muscles back. I'm going to hop over to some questions. ChatGPT has been in the news lately. What for? Oh, ChatGPT Health. Yeah, a few days ago, ChatGPT Health. That's it since the new year. I can't think. ChatGPT shopping was before the new year. ChatGPT Health was a few days ago. That's kind of it. Most of the discourse has been Claude Code primarily. Can't see anything with comments all over your screen share. Go to YouTube. I can't share fully on TikTok because TikTok blocks the stream. It basically says you're sharing copywritten material and you're not allowed to share this stuff and it stops us. So I have to make it small. Have you used Manus? Yes, Manus is fantastic. One of the best things about Manus right now, which I'm going to cover it because a lot of people missed this because they released it just before Christmas, but it's basically magic. So there we go. So 18th of December. Very rarely does a magical moment in AI come up. A few weeks ago, just before Christmas, it got lost in the shuffle. Nano Banana can create slides. If you use Notebook LM, you can make slide decks. I'll show you a quick example. This here was created by Nano Banana. I gave it a website address, which has one of my mini courses on it, and it made this slide deck for me. It's really good. The problem with Notebook LM is that it is not editable. I can't get like this here. Let's be clear, : that's very AI. So normally I'd want to get rid of that. I can't do that on Notebook LM and I can't do it on the PDF. So it's a pain in the butt. What Manus did was, have I lost Manus? I've lost Manus. There we go. Manus added the ability to edit slides directly inside of Manus, which feels like magic. It will create using Nano Banana Pro from Google, But you can select text, you can select images, you can move elements around, you can edit, you can change, you can regenerate certain parts. When you're generating AI images, you'll say, oh, can you just change this table, for example? And it will change everything and it will move everything around and it will make a complete mess of it. So what they've done is they've allowed you to edit directly. So you can select text inside of the image and edit it in Manus. Really cool. You can point at certain elements and you can say, can you change this part specifically? So here's an example. This is changing the gradient from blue to white to, I don't know, transparent through this rainbow here. So it means you can combine the tools. You can combine Nano Banana, which creates amazing slide decks, things that look like this, which is really cool. You can use Manus to edit, which is such a cool use. Very few people know about it or have been using it. Manus, I don't know what's going to happen with Manus though, because it has been purchased by Meta, so the creators of Facebook and Instagram. So I hope that they're going to have a bright future because Manus is a really cool tool, but it's all up in the air now. A couple of weeks ago, they got purchased. Meta have purchased several companies before, or they've hired in talent, and then nothing came of it. I hope that's not the case with Manus. I hope they were given funding to build really cool stuff. Fingers crossed, we don't know. One of the best AI daily info shows. Thanks for turning up each day, Kyle. Thank you, Quirk. I'm nothing if not stubborn and persistent. I will keep turning up every day. At the moment I'm away, I'm not in London. I would flip the camera and show you. It's not sunny today, it's raining in Cyprus, and it's one of the few days a year it's raining, so it's not so nice. Oh, hey Lyra, hi Danny. How are you guys? Talking about Cyprus, I just pulled this off a tree earlier today because we have lemon trees, we have orange trees, very cool. But I wanted to talk about lemons and launch lemonade. I am partnering with Shen Solon. If you don't know Shen, follow her on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. She's big on this. So Shen's been a friend of mine for the last couple of years and we meet up every once in a while, but we are now officially working together on Launch Lemonade. So Launch Lemonade is her company. She just did a successful fundraising and is pushing forward with Launch Lemonade. It allows anybody to build AI agents, anybody to build AI workflows, AI tools, and the kind of things. The reason I want to work with her is we need these tools in the hands of everyday people. There are technical people out there who are building amazing stuff with AI. Fantastic, love it. People who are vibe coding, people who are coding, people who are creating stuff. But there's a huge amount of expertise locked in the heads of normal people out there. Lawyers, accountants, social workers, engineers, what are doing the job on the day-to-day and have a huge amount of information inside of their head. And they know they could probably build something with artificial intelligence, but they have no idea how to do. When they come on a stream like this and I'm like, just get Cursor and install Claude Code. It's too much, it's too confusing. So what Launch Lemonade have done have made building agents and building workflows and building AI assistants really simple. That's why I'm working with her. I want to get more people involved with AI. My mission is to get 1 million people AI ready by 2030, because I fear that a lot of us are going to get left behind because we fear that the technology is scary, that we don't know how to start, we don't know what to do with it. I'm working on the education side, but Shen has built a tool which allows people to just do the thing. So I'm going to be talking about Launch Lemonade a lot more in the future, picking lemons off the tree every time. Keep an eye on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, where I'm going to be specifically talking about the kind of things you can do with Launch Lemonade and helping you to think about how you can combine your expertise, what you do on the day-to-day basis, the things that you know that a lot of people don't know, but how you can start to package that up into an AI assistant, an AI agent, an AI tool, which you can use internally, or you can build it into a business and sell access to other people. Really big opportunity now. Launch Lemonade is an amazing tool. Now, Lyra says, it was you who promoted me to use Lovable, and now I have 2 working projects. Lovable is so good. And I know I bully people. I'm like, just use it. There's a big barrier between having an idea and knowing, oh, I could probably use AI. I could do something cool with AI here, but turning that into reality. I'd love to know your projects. It's so easy. I give workshops and training to companies. My favorite example is I went and taught a charity, and I went in and they were very, we don't know about AI, it's very technical, and we need to know maths and stuff, and we're not very good at computers. And I was like, what? Where did you get that from? They told me a guy with 2 PhDs had written a textbook about machine learning. He knew AI and large language models like the back of his hand, an expert academically. He talked to the heads of this charity about large language models, how LLMs work and how they are trained. Fascinating, but not necessarily necessary to use AI. We are at a different level of abstraction now. When I start the car up, I don't really know how the internal combustion engine is working. Wait, no, it's electric. It doesn't even have an internal combustion engine, so ignore that. I don't really know how that's working, but I can drive. So that's the same with something like Lovable. That's the same thing with Launch Lemonade. It's a level of abstraction above. So you're elevated up from the weeds and you're able to build with it without necessarily, you don't have to understand how it's built. You don't have to build it from scratch yourself every time. And that's why these tools are so powerful. I talked to this charity and found out they were hesitant about AI. They'd been told about gradient descent. I think he's managed to not go through the calculus of it all, but it was close. The first thing I said to them is, can you use WhatsApp? And they're like, yeah, of course we can use WhatsApp. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's load up into ChatGPT and we're going to have a chat with it. And I showed them lasagna recipes. And then we planned a kid's birthday party in ChatGPT. And they realized that, oh, you just chat to it. You just type or you even use your voice. It's really cool. And then from there, kind of their imaginations took them the rest of the way and they started to build things. They come back to me for complicated things like how do we set up projects, etc. But you need to get over that first hurdle. And that's why Lovable, that's why Launch Lemonade, that's why these tools are really useful to reduce the barrier to build without complexities. A disability app for universities, very niche, is my job. Very cool, without prompting. I'd love to showcase it on the live, send me a link or DM it to me. Don't worry about promoting it. I'd love to see what you built because that is amazing that we can just have an idea for something and create it. And a lot of people still haven't tried vibe coding because it sounds complicated. We need to get over that and try it. Claude Code is one way. It's not Claude Code. Lovable is probably one of the easiest ways into vibe coding. I'm going to hop over. This I thought was really cool. So this dude, is he the head of Shopify? Yeah, Shopify CEO. That's irrelevant here. What is relevant is the ability to create anything, any idea from imagination to a working product in minutes. In this case, the cool use of AI. This guy has an annual MRI scan and they give him a USB stick with the data, but you need some complicated commercial Windows software to open it. And it's probably, one, he probably doesn't have Windows, he's probably on a Mac, and it's probably expensive because it's for MRI technicians, imaging technicians, and it's going to come with some expensive medical license. So for most people, this USB stick with your MRI is useless. You have to take it to the doctor. He took the data, he gave it to Claude Code, and he said, can you make me a viewer? Can you make me an HTML-based viewer so it would work in a web browser anywhere? And it ended up looking and feeling and being functionally better than the commercial software sold to medicals. So he did this for fun. He did this so he could look at his own MRI data. He annotates everything with findings, and you can just tinker around with it and play around and get information out of this data that's been given to you. I did something similar last week with my genome. I have the whole of my human genome, all of the, whatever they call it, the ACTG nucleotides in a 5.5 megabyte text file. Threw it to code and I made visualizations, which is really cool. If you have an idea, you can just build it now. You can just create what you're interested in. The other thing I created last week was a public speaking coach. I built a speaking coach so I can upload a video of myself, like a live webinar or a short TikTok. I can upload it into this tool and it analyzes my body language. It tracks how much my hands are on screen. It analyzes my posture, analyzes how much eye contact I have with the camera. It can detect my facial expressions. It measures my words per minute and it kind of samples them over the whole video. It looks for filler words like so is my killer one. I say so a lot. What else? I've forgotten. Oh, it looks at what I say and the patterns of my speech, etc., etc., etc. And it gives me a score for how good my public speaking, for how good my presentation. I'm building this into a tool internally for me that I can feed all of my information, all of my videos into, and it can scan and it can help me get better at speaking. But that is also something that I can flip into a product in the same way that this head of Shopify, he's probably too busy to do this, but he could potentially turn this into a product that he provides to anyone with MRI data. So it could be sold to medics, hospitals or individuals who want access to their medical data. They want to be able to delve into it without having to rely on expensive medical software. So your imagination is the only limitation. Once you learn to mess around with vibe coding, once you learn to just go from an idea to creation. I'm going to hop over to some questions because I know there's a hesitation around vibe coding. I'm going to show you one of the most renowned coders on earth is now vibe coding. I use ChatGPT in between my King's appointment with my annual MRIs. Really interesting. So you feed it the MRI and it can assess if any change, understands my condition. Very helpful in between appointments. Very cool. So ChatGPT Health is on its way. It's been released in some countries, but not all. GPT Health is interesting because it allows you to pull all your medical data into one place, which has not been the case. Most of us have our medical data scattered all over the place for good reasons, for patient confidentiality, for data security, etc. But ChatGPT Health opens up the possibility of having this kind of holistic view of our health. There are risks involved. Do we want to give our private medical data to OpenAI? That's a big question, and a lot of people will say absolutely not. But there are also opportunities here, which is this comprehensive overview of all of our health data and being able to see how different things interact with each other. So yes, an MRI scan, but also a blood test, and talking to it on a daily basis about how you're feeling. It'll be able to find patterns, and I won't use the word diagnose, but point us in certain directions much more effectively than going to see the doctor once a year. Gosh, the last time I saw a doctor was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So ChatGPT is definitely going to be better for me. Where on your site is full guide and free courses? So if you go to AI with Kyle and click on courses, there's maybe 8 or 9 courses in there. If you click on the catalog, there's 100 plus text courses. Actually, something I want to highlight is the AI Canon. One of the best AI learning resources is the Canon literature of the AI world. This comes from, let me bring it up, Andreessen Horowitz. So this page here, it's a couple of years old, but it has the foundational material. It walks you through gentle introduction, foundational learning, explainers, tech deep dives, etc., etc. It's a really useful resource. On this page, the AI Canon on A16Z or Z, it's a bit hard to work through. So what I've done is I've put together an easier way to do that. I've pulled it from Andreessen Horowitz. It's linked there, but it has all of the paper, all of the courses, all of the articles, the videos, etc. I've pulled them all into one place for you, and it's going to be a lot easier. So it starts up here with the gentle introduction. So this is mainly Andrej Karpathy stuff. Stephen Wolfram's What is ChatGPT Doing and How's It Working? How do Transformers work? That's Markowitz, I think. Stable Diffusion, etc. Then foundational learning. This is more courses. So this one, for example, is, let's have a look, deep learning, practical deep learning for coders. This is a really good free course on deep learning by, blanking out, Jeremy Howard. And then from here it goes more and more complex into practical building, so how you actually build large language models from scratch. And then down at the bottom, we have archive papers. So these are the foundational papers in the field of artificial intelligence, modern artificial intelligence. So starting with Attention is All You Need, that's 2014. That kind of kicked off the large language model revolution. Got one on BERT, etc., etc. I've put all of this together in one place. If you go to aiwithkyle.com, AI Canon, you'll find it in the top bar. That has all of the resources in there. That is obviously free. This is just linking you to those resources if you want to deepen your knowledge of artificial intelligence. If you're logged in, you can tick, I've completed this, and keep track of what you still need to read. One very cool thing, because just reading is old-fashioned, we have better tools. I've added some learn with AI elements. So I can click on, if I'm using ChatGPT, I can ask ChatGPT to explain this article simply. And all this does is preloads in a prompt, gives it the resource, asks it a few questions, and then it allows me to have a discussion with ChatGPT based on that article. So here, for example, I've pulled it in, Software 2.0 by Andrej Karpathy. I pulled in that article into ChatGPT and it will give me a summary. I can put it into tutor mode or test my understanding. If I click test, it's going to pre-fill that prompt for me and allow me to engage with the material at a deeper level. We can use AI to learn. And if you spend a bit of time each day talking with ChatGPT, talking with Claude about topics you want to learn more about, you can get quite deep very fast. How does software 2.0 differ from traditional software 1.0 programming? In how software logic is created? Hint, think about human written rules versus learned patterns, etc., etc. So this allows you to get into the AI canon in some depth and to actually have an intuitive understanding of it, instead of just reading through a paper like Attention is All You Need and being like, don't really get it, but cool, I've read it. Instead, this forces you to actually engage with the material. Hopefully it's useful. Again, that's at AI with Kyle /AI Canon. That's just a fun little side project I built because we can just build stuff now. It's great. ChatGPT helped me get my MS diagnosis. Really? Wow. That's an amazing story. I'd love to hear more about that one day. What do you think about AI CFO SaaS services to SME companies to help them predict their cash flow and forecasting? It's doable. Large language models like modern AI that we're using on the daily basis, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., aren't very good at this. That is not what they're good at. They're not good at numbers. You can connect them to Python, you can connect them to predictive analytics, etc. But if you are trying to predict cash flow and forecasting out of the box using ChatGPT, it's just going to make stuff up because that's not what it's for. However, there are other forms of artificial intelligence, predictive AI rather than generative AI. It's a different field that can be used. So have a look at that. In terms of AI for SaaS services to SME companies, maybe you need to test that market. SME sounds terrible, but selling to small businesses is a pain. Selling to individuals and small businesses is harder than selling to larger businesses. If you are building something that can predict cash flow and do forecasting, sell it to larger companies, sell it to enterprises. If it works, your sales process is similar, more B2B, more enterprise level. The revenues from it will be 100 times as much, and that allows you to reinvest in your sales team, in your company, and grow. Selling to SMEs feels easier initially, but bringing in money from smaller companies is harder. It doesn't allow you to scale. It doesn't allow you to increase the quality of your service as much. So I would say avoid selling to them unless there's a good reason to. Okay, let's look at this. This is a commit from Torvalds, Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds, I'll pull him up so we can, he created, a Finnish-American software engineer. So he created Linux. You don't necessarily need to know what Linux is, but Linux sits at the base of a huge amount of our software. Basically, he created the Linux kernel. He is considered one of the, I don't even know how to describe him here. So while like Bill Gates, etc., were creating closed source operating systems like Windows, Linus was creating Linux and making it available to everybody. It has become the foundation of most of the world's computers. Servers, for example, run on Linux. It's also, through, again, different mutations, the foundation of Unix, and that has led to things like, not Safari, excuse me, Mac OS. If you're on a Mac, you're using something created by Linus Torvalds. So he's, in the history of kind of software development, he is incredibly important. He has started to vibe code. Now, a lot of people have, here we go, so this is chubby, a lot of people are blowing this out of proportion. It says, so the legend himself, Linus Torvalds, has said that vibe coding on the Linux kernel using AI runs better than handwritten code using Google's anti-gravity. And I've got the quote here, is this much better than I could do by hand? Sure is. Very important. Torvalds is not working on the base code of Linux. He's building a guitar pedal piece of software, random digital audio effects. It's a hobby project. He's playing around with vibe coding in a hobby project. If you see people saying that Torvalds and Linux is now being vibe coded, that is not true. What he is doing is he's playing around with vibe coding inside of a hobby project. That said, this is still really important because this is his commit. So he says, this is Google Anti-Gravity fixing my visualization tool. He's written this as he commits the code. Generated with help from Google, I had to figure out the problem using the built-in rectangle select. After telling Anti-Gravity to do a custom rectangle selector, things are much better. Is this better than I could do by hand? Sure is. This is a hobby project Linus is playing around with. He's still saying the quality of the code using Google Anti-Gravity is better than what he could do by hand. That's a big deal. A very big deal. Also interesting is using anti-gravity rather than Claude Code, or it might be using Claude inside of anti-gravity, but very interesting. But as you can imagine, places like the programming subreddit are exploding over this because he's a demigod to the community. They pointed out this is software he created for guitar pedals. The title might make people think he's coding the kernel. Most experienced software engineers would agree that being able to read and understand code is a more critical skill than writing it, etc. There's a lot of defense, basically, that yes, he's using it, but it's just a silly project, or he doesn't write much code anymore, and we don't need to worry about this, which I think is very much shoving their heads in the sand at this point, because this is one of the greatest software developers of all time is playing around with vibe coding and says, yeah, it's really good. He might not be programming and vibe coding the Linux kernel using vibe coding, but he is using it and he does find it very powerful and very useful. So if you are worried about the quality of vibe coding, maybe you don't need to be as much as you are. I thought he said it's better by hand. No, he says, is this much better than I could do by hand? Sure is. So he's saying that anti-gravity did better than he could by hand. He is very much saying the vibe coding is better than he could do, which should ring some alarm bells for people. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to finish off on one bittersweet news story, which is the use of artificial intelligence for mountain rescue. The ability to use drones to scan a whole mountain, take photos, and look for anomalies and potential missing people. This just happened in the Alps, Italian region of Piedmont. Nicola Ivaldo had gone missing. The 66-year-old failed to show up at work on Monday and an alarm was raised. So somebody went missing on the mountain. And drones were sent up, but the drones took hundreds, if not thousands, of images and video content to sort through in order to find this missing person on a potentially absolutely massive mountain or a huge amount of land. In this case, AI was used, and AI pattern detected where the person could potentially be. They were too late in this case, and this poor person did die. However, AI was used to locate the body and get the body back off the mountain. So this is a really cool use of AI. Obviously, we need to go faster. We need to deploy drones quicker. Faster AIs to detect, get to the person before they expire. A good reminder we can use these technologies for positive things as well. There's a lot of fear, horror about what AI is going to be doing. There were stories about Grok being used to undress people, and now it's banned in multiple countries. But we can use this technology for wonderful things like search and rescue. We can choose what we do with it. And it's our job as people who are actively engaged in this to make sure that we're using it for the right things, make sure that we're helping other people use it for the right things, and we can steer the ship. This is not out of our hands. It is up to us how we engage with this technology. This is an example of a really cool usage, and I hope this gets even better. Do you have a guide on building AI agents? Not specifically, but it depends what kind of level. Are you trying to build from scratch? Are you familiar with building from scratch, or are you less technical and looking to get your expertise into an AI agent? If it is the latter, I'm going to recommend Launch Lemonade. I'm now working with Shen Solon, the founder of Launch Lemonade, and Launch Lemonade can allow you to very quickly build an agent, so without having to worry about the libraries and creating it from scratch. I haven't written guides on that personally because it's a bit more technical than most of my readers and followers are interested in, but there are some good resources. But if you are looking for a non-technical way to do it, I would look at Launch Lemonade, and you can basically build agents you can use internally inside your business, or you can package them up and sell them. You can white label them to other businesses or sell to individuals. This platform allows you to build, deploy, sell, and it hooks into all of the major models. You can hook it into Claude, Gemini, if you want images, ChatGPT, etc., etc. So this would be my starting point. If you're trying to code an app, I would look at Lovable if you do not feel comfortable with the technology, or I would look at Claude Code if you are okay with complexity. I've written multiple guides on using Claude Code as well. I'm not sure where they are on the website. It depends on your level and what you're trying to do. Hugging Face has a really good guide. Is it this one? Is it small agents? Yeah, it's going to be small agents. This is where I'd start. Intro to agents. Here we go. I'd start on Hugging Face. They have some really good resources on building agentic systems. If you are building an agentic system from scratch, this would be the way to do it. Also, deeplearning.ai has some good courses on agents. put in agent, probably got quite a few. I think they've got one for Hugging Face specifically, agentic AI. Here we go. Building code agents with Hugging Face small agents. You might not want a code agent specifically, but this would be a good place to start. Hugging Face small agents, really good place to start. You can get access to the models. They have practice data sets. Pricing is $9 a month for a pro, and that's more than enough for most projects. And then if you don't want to deal with the technicalities of building it yourself, you can use Launch Lemonade, a far simpler way to get one built, deployed, and monetize your agent. If you want to sell access, this is the way. With Hugging Face, you can 100% do it. It's just going to be more technical learning, more of a learning curve, and then you're going to need to work out how to deploy it, paywall it, and take subscriptions using Stripe. Two choices there. How did you screen share here? So for years, TikTok Studio has not been available on Mac. They released it at the beginning of December. Now that it's available on Mac, I can screen share. Prior to that, I could not. I'm using my Mac Mini, a webcam, and screen share. If you do want a higher resolution version though, go to YouTube, because I'm also live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. On TikTok, you can't make your screen share too large. TikTok thinks that you are showing pirated movies. It assumes, oh, you must be up to no good, and it bans the stream. That's why it's a bit squeezed down, unfortunately. It's a bit annoying. Awesome, I'm gonna finish up. I will be back around the same time. Wednesday, I'll be doing a live. Thursday, I will not, because I'm flying. I don't think I'll be doing one. And then Friday, we'll see. We'll see how jet lagged or tired I am. I will see you in the morning. Thank you so much, everybody. Talk soon.